All right, you guys. Well, good morning, and thank you, everybody who's on the phone on time. I'm sure we'll get some people beeping in here. Actually, I think I took off the chime, so we don't. Oh, I guess I didn't take off the chime. Anyway, so good morning, everybody, and thank you for calling in. If you have been putting, let me mute the line. Hang on a quick second. There we go. Okay, now we're on. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for calling on time, and this is Karla calling here from Los Angeles. And for those of you who are joining us that have been with us for the last 2-3 weeks, or who have not been with us for the last 2-3 weeks, we have been doing what we call the E-Myth Principles, which is a book by Michael Gerber, which I highly, highly recommend that you guys get the book. If not, YouTube it. It's phenomenal. And one of the things that I wanted to do today is we're going to do a little bit of a different thing. We're going to kind of take a little bit of a deviation because for the last 2 weeks we've been building on this whole concept of the E-Myth and why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. And I'm going to quickly give a summary of what we've been covering because I think that even if you've been on the calls for the last 2 weeks, it's definitely important to get reminded of this phenomenon, and that is why, who goes into businesses is not always the entrepreneur. And one of the things that we've been covering for the last couple of weeks is that, this guy, Michael Gerber, he's kind of known as the guru of small businesses. And the whole reason why he's been so popular and has been so effective with businesses is because he has this whole concept of in order for businesses to work, they must be run on systems. And today, if you guys don't have something to write with, I really encourage you that you get it. If you're driving or you're out and about, you might want to replay the call later on after you hear it today so that you can take notes on this, because one of the things that we're going to be covering about today is expanding on this whole idea that within us, there are 3 people every time somebody goes into business, there's 3 of us that go into business, or at least you want 3 people, three of you to go into business. And that is, most of us think when we see a business or a store or whatever, that when you walk in, that this person, if they invested a lot of money and time and resources and effort, and all that stuff, their dreams into a business, you'd think that, hey, you know what, this guy really must know what he's doing. And one of the things that we have come to realize, and it's not a surprise to most of us, is that is why most businesses don't work. Like, I don't even know, and I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting to get the statistics of the percentage of businesses last year, small businesses that closed their doors. But the reality is that most businesses don't work. Within the first 5 years, they shut their door. And then within the next 5 years, those that survive the first 5 years, most of them shut their doors within the next 5 years. And the question is why? And so we've been covering this whole phenomenon of the fact that, we've got 3 people inside of us. We've got the entrepreneur, we've got the manager, and we've got the technician. And although we feel that who goes into business is the entrepreneur, the reality is who goes into business is the technician. That person that, gets his brilliant idea that, let's just say that, the plumber is working for a company and he's a great plumber. And then all of a sudden he's thinking something happens and he's mistreated, something occurs, and he has what Michael Gerber calls an entrepreneur seizure. Well, all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I should do this for myself. And you get this brilliant idea about going into business for yourself, and then bam, the plumber starts a plumbing company. The surgeon opens a surgeon clinic. You guys get the picture. The cook opens a restaurant. But what happens is, although most people know the technical part of that business, that doesn't mean they know how to run the business. And so for the last 2 weeks, we've been building on this whole concept of what is it going to take for you to be able to do that. And we build on the whole idea of, number 1, you must first know what kind of lifestyle you want. And it's not a surprise that here in Herbalife, we're always asking people, what are your dreams? What are your goals? Based on that, then we can design a business plan. Based on your goals, if you want to make some part-time income, now we've got to structure a business around that. But if somebody wants to build a business, like a big enterprise, and wants to create residual income, wants to create royalties, wants to build a team, now we've got to think about how is it that we're going to structure a business plan, quote-unquote, a system, What kind of system are you going to plug into so that you can go ahead and build that lifestyle? So today we're going to build on, and then that was the first call. The second call that we did was building on this whole phenomenon of how important, and yes, that you need to create the system. You need to understand that who goes into a business is a technician, but it is so important to bring the other two aspects of it. And the entrepreneur is the visionary. He's the one that has the dreams, the goals in mind. And it's so important because the entrepreneur within you is what keeps the machine rolling. It's what keeps the excitement. It's what keeps, the manager and the technician busy. So without the entrepreneur, we have no quote-unquote mortar in our business, because that's really what gets you excited, right? Then we've had the manager, and the manager is the enabler. The manager is the person that puts everything in order. He's the person that takes that dream and makes it quote-unquote into a kind of like a reality. And it's so important that when you have that manager that starts to put things into place, what is so important is that the manager creates, you want to write this down, as a system. And the reason why Herbalife, for those who follow the system, why they have success, it's almost like I don't want to say a guarantee, but your probability of making it happen is so much greater when you plug into the system. And the reason is because you take somebody who just got registered, the entrepreneur in them, right, has these dreams, these goals, these aspirations, and then now you're going to put them into a system. Right? The manager part of them will then be fulfilled, or will be in action, I should say. So this manager part of them will say, okay, now, so what we got to do is we got to have Tuesday, Thursday, HOMs, Saturday, or whatever it is. You have these boot camps here, and you give them out the map or the calendar, the calendar of the month, the calendar of the week. And you say, now, this is the system that you can plug into. The more you plug into the system, the more effective you will be. The better your machine, your oil machine called your business, is going to work, right? If you just start drilling like oil down the ground and you've got no machine or like a system on how you're going to, like where you're going to dig and all that kind of stuff, you're just like digging holes without being productive. But if you can actually say, okay, right here, you build a well, right here, right underneath this section, there's a huge amount of oil, right? And the way you got to do it, and then you start breaking down how to, and then the system to do it, the probability of this person actually getting oil out of the ground has increased drastically rather than just them randomly digging holes around the ground. It's the same thing with our business. We start thinking about, okay, you get the entrepreneur, their goals, and then you tell them, okay, now here's a system you got to plug into in order for this to happen. And one of the biggest things that Michael Gerber talks about, and I love this, it says, anytime something is not occurring and something's not happening, it is never the person. It is always the system. So if somebody's not having success, you as a leader of your team, you want to stop and look like, okay, what's going on with my system? Am I plugging people in? Are they clear on what is being offered? Are they clear as far as what they need to do? So one of the things you want to write down is that you want to work on your business versus in your business. I'm going to say that again. You want to work on your business versus in your business. What the heck does that mean, right? And we're going to talk about the 7 disciplines in just a couple of minutes here, because here's where it starts, is that so many of us are in our business. So we're like in it, and we don't notice certain things because we're so immersed inside of our little quote-unquote box or circle of our business. But if you can take a step back and look in, and look at your business, now you're working on your business. You can take a step back and go, okay, what's going on? Okay, so this is working great. This is not working so great. This is their God. And you can now you can actually be more productive because you're looking from the outside in, right? It's almost like when somebody has a feud, you're so involved in the feud that you can't really be productive or have a clear mindset on how to resolve it. But then somebody from the outside looks in and they can see clearly because they're not in the problem. Same thing with your business. So it's so important that you look from the outside. You want to be on the outside of it to watch it, and then from there create systems so that you can resolve whatever needs to get resolved. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so that's the managerial part of it, right? And then lastly is the technician. Now the technician, that person, it's the doer. It's the person that's in action. Now that's the person that puts out the flyers, does the contacts, does whatever it needs to do, to make things happen. Now, the ideal thing here is for us to have 1/3 of us, the entrepreneur, 1/3 of us, the manager, 1/3 of us, the technician. But the reality is that's not the case for most of us. Most of us are more one thing than the other. Some of us are more the dreamers, get the ideas, we're out there in la la land, but we've got no order, like we're not really managerial type of people. We don't have literally like an organized system, or we're not so much in action, right? Some people lack the dream, but they have everything organized. They don't know what they have organized for. They don't know what the system is for, but they're very organized, but they don't have the dreamer part of them. The entrepreneur is kind of sleepy, but they're totally organized, totally on point with the system, and they're kind of doers, right? That's the more of a managerial dominance. Then we've got the technician, which most people fall into this category. They kind of dream, they kind of have a goal, they kind of know what they want, they kind of have these systems, they kind of have their business in order, but their technician is full force. They're in action, full at it, right? And they love being in motion. And you're I'm doing it. Well, what are you doing it for? I don't know, but I'm getting people to the event now. Now, here's the thing. Most of the time, that's why Herbalife is so fantastic, is because, the system is already there, so you don't have to really create it. But one of the things I really do want to invite you to have in mind, especially if you are dominant on the technician part, is that it is important for you to sometimes, once in a while, once a month at least, take a step back and look at your month, right? We're coming towards the end of the month right now, okay? And so for sure, it's right now the technician should be coming out full force. But for sure, for the beginning of the month, you want to start looking at, okay, what's my goal for this month? And start visualizing it, start planning it out. And then have the managerial come in and say, all right, now how am I going to make that happen? What systems am I going to put in place? What goals, what plan am I going to put in place to make that happen? And then the technician come in and go for it. Maybe you can check on this every 10. I remember when Mark was alive, he used to always have us do a 10-day plan, because every 10 days, the first 10 days of you're recruiting like crazy, you're prospecting like crazy, you're getting clients like crazy. The second 10 days of the month, you're making sure that all those people that you signed, clients that you got, you're plugging them into the STS. So the first 10 days, you're generating leads, you're getting clients. The second 10 days, you're getting everybody to the STS. And then the last 10 days, you're closing the month. So that's a very simple formula that most of us can use, right? So anyhow, so speaking of formula, here's the other thing you want to take a look at before we cover these 7 disciplines of the world-class entrepreneur and leader, and that is, you want to make sure, the reason why I'm going to cover these 7 disciplines is I shouldn't say the only. One of the main reasons why you want to have these disciplines is so that you can have your sales systems right. And, there is no business that without a sales team, without sales, is going to survive. It just can't happen. And you can argue that till your face is blue, but at the end of the day, what makes this world work is sales. And for whatever reason, if somebody has this negative association with that, you've got to reframe it. You must reframe it. Because regardless of what you do, I do not care what business you go into, if you don't reframe your attitude and your outlook on sales, it will not survive. At least not if you own it. Okay, and the reason is, for example, let's just say if you're a doctor, you might be saying, well, no, that's service. No, BS. You got to get clients to come into your clinic. So the question is, what kind of sales systems do you want to operate? And you want to take a moment, okay, and again, we're towards the end of the month, so you want to full force it and close your month as strong as you possibly can, achieving the goal that you set at the beginning of the month. But one of the things you really want to start looking at is, what kind of sales systems do you have in place? Because here's the thing you want to write down. There's 3 things that we must have quote unquote right. Number 1 is your lead generating system. And that is, how do you get people to come into your door? that system has got to be on. So, for example, are you actually putting in systems for like Facebook or social media? Is that going to be your lead generating system? Newspaper ad, Craig's, I mean, I don't even know, personal contacts, whatever is your lead generating system, it's got to be right. Number 2 is your lead conversion system. How are you going to now convert those leads that you're bringing in to make them actually convert into being clients, etc.? Okay, because you can bring everybody in, but you also got to be focused on how are you going to convert them, so that you can repeat this over and over and over again. Now, how is that going to play out? How are you going to make sure that this actually occurs in a proper way? Is by having the 7 disciplines of a world-class entrepreneur/leader. So let's go ahead and go through them. And they come in the form of skills, you guys. Okay, now here's the thing. If you were a big, huge company, like if you were, Herbalife headquarters, you would have different departments doing these disciplines. However, because you are your business, right, at this moment in time, unless you've got a ton of assistants, these are the 7 disciplines that you must put in practice in order for your business to be successful. Number 1 is the discipline of the enterprise leader, is the discipline of the enterprise leader. Okay, what the heck does that mean, right? Well, your business is an enterprise. So you, as the leader of your enterprise, must have the disciplines that it's going to take in order for that to work. Okay? Now, every person is different, so you got to start thinking about what are those disciplines that you're lacking or that you need to put in place. Maybe it's something as simple as following up with the call. Okay? Or do you have the disciplines that as the enterprise, as the leader of the enterprise, must have in order to be successful, such as following up with your clients, making sure that you have the discipline of having the information, having your calendar. I love this. Oh my gosh, the other day I was at my Landmark class, and this guy was saying, he's a volunteer at Landmark. He just got married. He has this business of a real estate, and he loves to play, I think it was golf or some other thing. Let's just say golf. And I love what he said. He goes, and it's so funny, people always ask me, how do I do it all? How can I have a balanced life where I spend time with my wife, I volunteer here at Landmark, I have a very successful business, and I still do recreational things? How can I do all of it? And he pulled out his phone, and he opened it to his calendar, and he goes, because this. And I love what he said. He said, when somebody tells me, hey, man, can we meet tomorrow at 5 o'clock? He goes, I always say, hold on. And I pull out my phone, and I look at my calendar before I say yes to anything. And he goes, or they'll say, can I talk at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? I'll look at my calendar, say, hold on, pull up my phone, look at my calendar, and I say yes or no. He goes, and it's so funny. I am so busy, but I find the time. And then he's like, I have friends that have all the time in the world. They don't even know when they can talk to me. And, oh, my gosh, the whole room started laughing because we know those people that perhaps are unemployed or have all the time in the world, and you're like, hey, man, when can we talk? And they're like, I don't know, because they run their life blindly. So one of the main disciplines is as an entrepreneur that most of us, I think, suffer from or have a challenging time with, and that is managing our time. I know for me, I will confess, there are times that I'll be like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, dang it, and then I have to clean up, go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot I had this or this or that, all because I didn't have the discipline of taking out my phone and looking at my calendar. So for yourself, what are those disciplines that you're lacking. And you know them. If you're not aware of them, my invitation to you this week is to take a moment and look at what is missing that doesn't have your life working. Like, what's missing? Is it your time discipline? Is it, your organization discipline? If they ask you, hey, when is the next event? Do you take 20 minutes? Because here's the other thing you want to get. And I'm spending a lot of time on this one discipline because this builds on everything else. Everything else builds on this one. And that is, if you take a moment to look at the areas of your life that you're lacking discipline, and you start putting things in place, a system in place to get that in order, your life's going to work. You're going to waste less time. You're going to have less stress because you'll be able to access anything that you need because you understand where everything is at. You won't be stressed out. You won't be double booking a call or an appointment. You won't be compromising your personal relationships for your business, I want you to start looking at this week, what are the disciplines that are holding you back, okay? And I want you to start looking at your life not as an or kind of life, but as an and kind of life. What I mean by that is this. It's not, do I go out with my significant other or do I do my business? No, it's how can I go out with my significant other and do my business? How can I work out and blah, blah, blah? Everything must be an and. If you start approaching your life from that aspect, you'll start putting the disciplines in place that will make that happen. So number one is the discipline of the enterprise leader. Number two is the discipline of the marketing leader. We must have those disciplines in place, again, to make sure that the lead conversion and the lead generation and the lead conversion are like an oil machine that come in, that your marketing, that you have those disciplines that make your marketing work, that the leader within you, the marketing department leader within you has a system in place and the discipline that it's going to take to make that happen. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, Delfina, and she was telling me how she has this agenda of social media posting, an agenda of what she does. And I thought that was, I mean, obviously it's like, you're like, well, duh. Yeah, but how many of us are doing it? I know I wasn't. And I was like, yeah, that's what was missing. That's the discipline that I was missing, was having an agenda to say, on Monday I'm going to do this, on Tuesday I'm going to do this, on Wednesday I'm going to post this, and to have an agenda, to have a marketing discipline. The discipline of a marketing leader, number two. Number three, the discipline of the financial leader. Again, within you, in your enterprise, in your leadership, as a leader of your own business, we must have, again, you don't have the department called finance department. You are your finance department. So what kind of disciplines do you need to put in place in order to have your finances work? That the leader, the financial leader within you, has something going on that's going to make you check your finances. Now, I'm going to share with you one thing that I did, and I have to, right now when I was going over the lesson today, I reminded myself of this, and that is, there was a year that my accountant, Tony, recommended that I look at my Chase banking statements every single day. And I took that on, where, and I got presented it this morning. I'm like, I haven't done that this year. And we're like already in April, right? I look at it occasionally, but not every day. And he's like, because one of the things you'll find is that there's sometimes charges that you don't even know what they're for, but that you're like 3 months out and they're slipped. So the other day I looked and I'm like, wait, what is this? It's like $44. And I will confess, I was like busy and I was like, okay, I'll call them later. That was like 2 weeks ago or something like that I noticed that. So when I was looking at my account every single day, that financial discipline made me look at it every day. I had a complete eye on where my money was. So my question to you is, what are the disciplines that you must put in place to have that financial leader, like have that oil machine called your finances, operate well? This morning I was looking at all my finances and looking at all these things that I got to move here, move there. It's like I'm making an investment in by May 1st. And it's like, okay, you know what? Thank God I had been looking at it for the last couple of days on my accounts and moving things around so I'm not caught by surprise. So one of the things that I'm going to invite you to look at is what are the disciplines that you need to put in place, and it might be something as simple as you actually going to your account and looking to see how much money you have so you're not bouncing anything, you're not overcharging anything, you're not, are they charging you interest like galore? How can you bring that down? Keeping an eye on that. So number three is the discipline of the financial leader. Number 4, and that is the discipline of the management leader. Now, what the heck does that mean? Here's the thing. You've got this business, right? You have your marketing, you have your finance, you've got your time, all these resources as an entrepreneur that you have. Now we've got to learn how to manage all of that, okay? So I don't know if any of you are thinking, I don't know why I got this like glimpse. Sometimes I can be psychic, right? I got this glimpse of somebody thinking, this is a lot. But here's the thing, you guys, it really isn't once you've got a system in place. Right? So how are you going to manage your business? Like, are you going to keep, saying, okay, well, Monday's going to be my time for me to do all my follow-ups and call all my guys. Tuesday, I'm going to do this. Like, have a managerial hat on when you think about your business and how are you going to manage the different divisions, different system that you got from your boot camp to the HOM. Like, start thinking about how are you going to manage different things to have that oil machine work. And once you've got a system in place and you've got the discipline to manage it, I promise you it'll be like second nature. It's almost like sometimes we think like, going to the gym or whatever it is, it's like it's so much work because we think of all the little things we got to do. But if you just do them, it's nothing. If I have to think, well, I got to put on my clothes, I got to put on my shoes, I got to tie my shoes, I got to have something before, and then I got to do this, and then I got to get in my car, and then I got to go to the gym. Well, if you think of all of that, you're never going to get anything done. Well, it's the same thing here with your business. So if for a moment you're thinking, oh, my God, this is a lot, erase that thought. It's the stupid little voice that we have inside of us that wants to check you out, okay? I don't know why I got this, feeling somebody was thinking that. Anyway, so the discipline of the management leader is that person, that discipline that you're going to put in place to make sure that you can manage your finances, your marketing, and have everything lined up so that oil machine works. Now, all of this is to get the last three in place, and that is number 5, that's the lead generation. Number 6, that's the lead conversion. And number 7, that's the lead fulfillment. We must have a discipline that will have a lead generating system. And all of this marketing, financial, and all the stuff that I just talked to you really comes down to this, because this is the core system to your business. Without this, you have nothing else. Okay? You can organize your papers as much as you want, but if you don't have lead generation, and that is what is pulling people through your quote-unquote business door. And then you've got a lead conversion. It's like, of those people that come into your door, how many of them what's the percentage that are turning into clients? Then, number 7, how many of those client fulfillment, how many of those customers are actually becoming clients? And here's the thing, the ball game of all of this is your mindset. Okay? So all of this, it comes down to the paradigm that you have, which you approach how you're building the system, which is going to make sure that it all continues to work with or without you. And if you, for some reason, I think most of us, I know I struggled at the beginning of my business. When I first started my business, I know that I had it that nobody could do it like me. I had it that if I didn't, make everything happen, it wasn't going to get done right. But the reality is, now that I know what I know, is that I just had this need for feeling needed and this need for feeling wanted and appreciated. And the more that I was involved in my business and the more that it was like I had the little recipe and I didn't want to give it away, the more that need got fulfilled. The more I felt wanted, the more I felt needed, right? But here's the thing. When I remember Jerry Satanovich, the founder circle of Herbalife, said to me, if you continue to operate your business like that, you will never be successful. And if you are successful, it will not last. And that was a little hard pill to swallow because it felt good that people would, praise me and I got all the recognition for it, right? But here's the thing. If you've got these 7 disciplines intact, especially the last 3, that you start pouring in the lead generation and you convert them and you have a client fulfillment, and you start shifting the paradigm through which you approach the building of the systems, to which the leadership and the entrepreneur can cause their business to run with or without them. That is what's going to make your dream a reality. So we're coming full circle now, right? We started the whole idea of what is the dream? What is the lifestyle you want? Then we build on what are the 3 things that have to be in place for a business to operate. Now we're talking about what are the disciplines that you must put in place for that to occur. And all of this is coming down to the full circle of you must have the disciplines of the enterprise leader, the marketing leader, the financial leader, the managerial leader, all so that you can have the discipline of the lead generating to work, the discipline of the lead conversion, and the discipline of the client fulfillment. And those 3 are the core system of your business so that you can have your dream. Now your business becomes a reality because it has like an oil machine. It actually pumps it out. without all those other components, you guys, it's not going to be sustainable. And I'm telling you because I've done it. I built a system. It was all about me and then some more of me. And when Karla was in a bad mood, the business would suffer. If Karla was in a good mood, the business will flourish. If Karla told them where to go, they would go. If Karla didn't tell them where to go, they didn't go. And it wasn't until I really got that it couldn't operate that way that I started shifting. We started creating a system where it would run with or without me. We started developing leaders. We started getting people to go to the front of the room. We started delegating different things. And now I was those leaders' biggest cheerleader. And the whale, the well of oil, and right, our business was pumping with or without me. But it took me, yes, I get it. I had to drill the hole. I had to put the machine down the ground. I had to set it up. I had to do all of that, but once the system was in place, I was able then to tell somebody, okay, this is how I did it. Now make sure it continues to pump. And then that person was taking care of that system, making sure it continued to pump. I hope you guys get the analogy. And then guess what? We were able to do this in different little cities, and every little city had a little pumping whale pumping out the oil. Same thing with your business, okay? So, so it's only 30 minutes, so I hope that helped. So we've got one more thing we're going to cover next week to conclude the E-Myth book. And but I hope this was helpful. So don't hang up. I'm going to open up the lines to see if anybody has any comments or any questions. Hang on. Let me stop the recording.